And now joining us on Book TV in Miami is Ibtihaj Muhammad. Here's the book, Proud, My Fight for an Unlikely American Dream. Ms. Muhammad, how did you get into fencing?
Well, in my family, it was really important for my parents to put their kids in different sports to try them out, see which one kind of piqued your interest. And I started fencing at 12 years old. I guess the immediate reason to fence was because the athletes were fully covered, and as a young Muslim girl, I didn't wear shorts or tank tops, so it just kind of fit into my religious beliefs.
Did the sport itself attract you?
I don't know if it was necessarily the sport. I really loved my high school fencing team. We were very close. It felt very much so like a family, more so than it did like a team. And we also won state championships every year, so I'm sure being part of a winning team that, I mean, historically has just been so powerful, I guess lended itself more so to pique my interest.
What other sports did you try out?
I played 4 years of volleyball in high school. I also played softball, but I've tried everything from track and field, tennis, but definitely a fencer at my core.
You call your book Proud, but you also say the word unlikely. Why was it unlikely for you to win a bronze medal in the Olympics?
Well, I mean, the chances are for anyone that you probably won't go to the Olympic Games. You certainly won't medal. So for me, I've always spent, my entire life pushing back against society's limited expectations of me, not only as a woman, as a person of color, but also as a Muslim. So to be the first Muslim woman to represent the United States at the Games wearing hijab and to bring home a medal for our country, I feel like was this really not just great opportunity for me, but to really push back against this dark, dreary narrative that has been perpetuated through media, through Hollywood, about the Muslim community that to me is not true.
At what point in your life did you feel that perhaps you weren't in the majority in this country growing up in New Jersey?
Well, I'm from Maplewood, New Jersey, which is about 30 minutes west of New York City. Very inclusive, super diverse, and for me growing up, I didn't know that my skin color or my religious beliefs had the power to change how people treated me. And it was something that I learned, through fencing and traveling to different cities, to different townships. And for me, it was a real eye-opener, being a kid of color in the sport of fencing.
Were you often the only Muslim, the only person of color at these events?
I would say most of the time, yeah. Mm-hmm. Even now, like as a member of the United States, fencing team, I can go to a World Cup and be the only black athlete out of 200 anywhere in the world, and I think my mission in writing this book and telling my story is to hopefully encourage the next generation to be involved in these unlikely sports where traditionally, maybe we haven't been provided the access or the space to be a part of fencing or swimming or gymnastics or whatever it is. It's to really challenge yourself and join sports where we haven't, had the opportunity to participate.
Who are your parents and how much pushing did they do to get you involved?
Well, my dad, both my parents are retired now. My dad's a narcotic detective, my mom's an educator, and for them sport so integral to the development of their children, and also having working parents, they wanted to know where you were after school, so that's why we had to play sports.
What's the purpose of a hijab?
So hijab in Arabic literally means to cover. Some Muslim women wear hijab, not all Muslim women do, and those who do use it in a way to, I guess, observe their faith.
In your fencing career, have you felt discrimination?
At times I have, and I'm not sure if they're directly connected to me as a religious minority, if it's because, I am African American, or even sometimes if you're, if I happen to be a woman, or if I'm, or if it's because I'm from the United States. But at the same time, I don't stop and ask whoever the person is who's like inflicting discrimination in that moment. I don't ask, hey, quick question, what's your deal? You just kind of keep your head down, you keep working hard, and one of the things that I love about sport is that it's not about where you're from, it's not about who you are, it's what you bring to the table as an athlete. And I mean, in its most simplistic form, it's whether or not you can win.
From your book, Proud, quote, she only got into Duke because she's black. Where's that from?
High school. That was something that I would hear, maybe from my peers, from a guidance counselor. And as hurtful as it was, I know how hard I worked to get into Duke, to graduate from Duke. I've always been that kid, that person who wants to outwork not just the people around me, but outwork myself. And I think it takes that type of tenacity, that type of, personality to even qualify for something as prestigious as the Olympic Games for the United States.
What are two keys to the world of fencing? With swimming, we know stroke and things like that, but when it comes to fencing, what are the key elements that you need to bring to the table?
I would say there's like three things, right? You want to be in peak physical condition. You want to be mentally sound and strong, right? Because you can be a really strong athlete, but if you don't have that mindset, right, where you're able to block out all of that outside noise, then you won't be successful. And then I would say the third piece of that puzzle is to be really strong tactically. Fencing is physical chess. It's about outsmarting your opponent. It's about deceiving your opponent, getting you to believe something that maybe is not my plan, right? But I want you to believe it is. And just to outsmart whoever your opponent is.
So since Rio, what have you been doing?
Well, I have these two books out. I have Proud, My Fight for an Unlikely American Dream, which is the adult version. I also have Proud, Living My American Dream, the young adult version. I've been on this book tour for the last few months, but right now working on my children's book, which comes out next year, as well as a podcast.
And you worked for the State Department as an ambassador, didn't you, for a while?
I do. So this has been since 2012. Former Secretary Clinton has started this council, Empowering Women and Girls Through Sports initiative, but I'm also part of the President's Council via President Obama, President's Council on Fitness, Health, and Nutrition.
And are you still on that during the Trump administration?
So, unfortunately, haven't been asked to do anything since President Trump. But I'm hopeful that not just for myself, but the other athletes, we can use our platforms, this opportunity that we've been kind of bestowed upon by President Obama to work through the President's Council.
Are you still fencing?
Not since I've written the book. So I took a break from fencing to write the book, to be determined whether or not I'll be back.
And possibly to the tryout for the 2020?
Yeah, Tokyo. Yep, 2020.
From the book, once again, and this, first of all, where'd the name come up? Why Proud?
I feel like Proud is a part of who I am. I've had to be that in light of certain obstacles that have been thrown my way, and it's something that I've adapted from the time I was a kid, and it feels very much so a part of who I am.
All right, so you have done 1,000 interviews about your life, your work, your book, your career. What haven't you been asked that surprised you?
What haven't I been asked?
What haven't you been asked that you go off the interview going, they still haven't asked me this question?
I don't know. You're the first person not to ask me about the Barbie doll, which I thought was kind of cool.
Okay, all right, there we got a little something there. Back to the book, page 261. I had to ask myself again, was it all worth it? What's the answer?
Always, yes. Yeah. You have to be thankful. I mean, I never think of my life or the obstacles as burdens. I think that having the opportunity to represent the United States in sport, at the highest level of sport, have the opportunity to qualify for the games, every part of this has been a gift for me.
So you're standing up there, getting a bronze medal put around your neck. What are you looking at? We're seeing the podium, but what are you looking at when you see the flags going up and the crowd out there, and what are you feeling?
To be honest, it's kind of like a moment of disbelief because you think about all those really arduous moments where you're not sure you have the mental strength, the physical strength to kind of push through. And I don't know, I mean, seeing my family in the audience, my nephew who's 7, I love that he was looking at a bunch of women, you know, from Ukraine, Russia, United States on the podium and be appreciative of them in that moment. I thought it was awesome.
Ibtihaj Muhammad is the author of Proud, My Fight for an Unlikely American Dream. Thanks for joining us on BookTV on C-SPAN 2.
Thanks, Peter.